after a massive immigration raid at a Hyundai plant. This is just outside of Savannah. This is one of the largest and most high-profile manufacturing sites in the state, employing about 1,400 people. Workers say hundreds of agents in several different agencies participated in the sting.
9월 4일 목요일.
On Thursday, September 4th in local time, the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement conducted a raid at the construction site of our company's battery plant in the state of Georgia, during which many of our nationals were detained.
구금되었습니다. 미국의 법 집행.
The economic activities of our companies investing in the United States and the interests of our citizens must not be unduly violated during the course of US law enforcement.
서울에서도 오늘 주한 미국 대사관.
In Seoul, we also conveyed our concerns and regret through the US Embassy today, urging special attention to ensure that the legitimate rights and interests of our citizens are not violated.
유의해 줄 것을 당부하였습니다.
This, in fact, was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of Homeland Security investigations.
We are actively conducting an investigation into unlawful employment practices going on at this massive multi-hundred acre construction site behind me.
Homeland Security says the investigation is expected to continue beyond tonight. Hyundai says that it is cooperating with law enforcement and committed to abiding by all labor and immigration regulations.
And I would say that they were illegal aliens, and ICE was just doing its job. But I know nothing about the instance that happened a little while ago. Okay?
There has been some pushback on that, though, from South Korea already, and of course, they pledged to invest $150 billion in the U.S. when they were just here, last week. Are you concerned?
Well, and they have the right to sell cars and things in our country. It's not like a one-sided deal.
Are you concerned at all about, your immigration agenda potentially clashing with these economic goals?
Well, we want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people, but we had a lot of illegal aliens working there. So, look, they're doing their job. That's what they have to do. These are people that came through with Biden. They came through illegally. They came into our country. So we have to do our job.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE, but it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left. They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life. Modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well, guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people, because when they came here, they thought they were, hey, the border's open, we're coming in, we're going to get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the big Walmart, and we can live in a 5-star hotel, and that's just not how it is. It's very bad conditions, very inhumane, and the Biden administration started a humanitarian crisis. So y'all can't just look at it like they're ripping good people off the job. They're probably saving their lives in the long run.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, folks. And this is breaking news. The latest with HYUNDAI, their most recent encounter with law enforcement and losing a part of their workforce. South Korea's response to this, what the president has to say about it, and what should we expect moving forward. I want to talk about this as well as a variety of other things. So stick with me here, folks, because I've got a lot to share, and I'm looking forward to getting your take, your feedback in the comments section. We can't talk about batteries without talking about Elon Musk and Tesla, for which we will. So there's that too, plus more. And Sarah Sansoni says, unbelievable. Raid of Hyundai battery plant in Georgia, my native state. resulted in the arrest of over 450 illegal immigrants. The same exact plant Joe Biden promised it would give jobs to Americans. This is definitely a hot button, setting the internet on fire, and people in particular, actually folks that I've even talked to myself today about this, and the fact that the job market sucks. Unemployment numbers are going up. And what gives? Well, it's not AI taking jobs, at least not yet, at least not in this case, right? And when I first heard about this story, I thought it was the battery plant up north on 85. But I can't remember the name of that one, but I think that they got busted too when they were building that one. And that one was like north of Brazelton or whatever. That's where I used to live, up that way. But giant battery plant, but they made headlines as well. And yeah, I just want to know what you guys think about this. 450 aliens arrested. It says 450 illegal aliens arrested in worksite raid at Hyundai battery plant in Georgia. Is this exactly what you voted for? So yeah, we got that. We're going to talk about that and so much more. So stick with me here, folks. Hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. Drop a comment. Let's dive right in.
Chair Robin Denholm, who's been working on this, and this has been going on for months and months and months, and the goals are ambitious, and let me show you what she had to say about them.
It's very important to us that we are true to our values, which is really being super ambitious, and this plan actually is emblematic of that. We've got 12 tranches in the plan. The first one, in terms of market cap, is actually doubling the size of the company today. And we have, the first in terms of the vehicle side is actually getting to 20 million vehicles that are produced and delivered. And we're only at just over 8. So to me, the plan is super ambitious. And that is what motivates Elon. So in coming up with a plan that will incent, motivate, have his time, focus and attention on Tesla, we needed to come up with a plan that was super ambitious.
How realistic is the plan in your mind versus, and you use the word in the letter, aspirational goals?
Yes, very aspirational.
So here we have Tesla chair Robin Denholm with a new, or at least discussing or beginning to discuss this new pay plan designed to keep Elon Musk motivated and focused on delivering for Tesla. And quote, this is about shooting for the moon and having the whole company focused on delivery. And I think that this is huge, okay? I think this is huge, especially considering the landscape of the automotive industry, EV, battery market. You know, we started the video off with a variety of talking points, conversations, and clips featuring President Trump, mentioning former President Joe Biden, and, the relationship between President Trump and Elon Musk. I'm not quite sure where that stands. But I can see here that President Trump's given up seemingly on India, or India has given up on us. However, Elon hasn't given up on India, and I'm going to share that with you guys here in just a second. President Trump says, I don't care what India does with Russia. They can make their dead economies, they can take their dead economies down together for all I care. We've done very little business with India. Their tariffs are too high, among the highest in the world. Likewise, Russia and the USA do almost no business together. Let's keep it that way. And tell Medvedev, the failed former president of Russia, who thinks he's still president, to watch his words. He's entering very dangerous territory. And so there's that, right? But Elon has just, or at least not necessarily Elon, but anything that happens with Tesla is Elon's behind it. He's leading the charge. He's the exact reason why they're trying to create such an expansive, record-breaking incentive compensation package to incentivize Elon to stick around. Elon just had the first ever Tesla Model Y delivered in India. In India. And, this is just the tip of the iceberg here, folks. We got way more to discuss.
And so, yes, is it realistic? I mean, you yourself and many others, when we put out the 2018 plan, thought that they were ridiculous numbers. And so from our perspective, it is about shooting for the moon, if you like, and really coming up with the ambition to the vision that we've put out in terms of the Master Plan 4, and actually shooting for that and having the whole company focused on delivering against that plan.
And so just so I understand the details of this plan, there are these different milestones in terms of the market cap of the company. So, for example, you effectively have to double, you got to get it to $2 trillion for the first milestone. But then, for example, like the EBITDA number has to 3x what it is today.
Yes, so again, we've constructed this plan so that shareholders get outsized returns. For us, it is all about shareholder value creation, and the plan reflects that. So in terms of the first tranche, as I said, it is doubling the market cap of the company. We're just over $1 trillion today. The first milestone is at $2 trillion. And the top milestone, if you like, the tranche 12, is at $8.5 trillion. And I am saying $1 trillion. It is a very ambitious plan. The 2018 plan was to get to billions of dollars of market cap. This plan is to get to trillions of dollars of market cap and trillions of dollars of shareholder value creation.
How much of this is about incentivizing Elon as it relates to his ability to have more voting control of the company? That's something that he's talked a lot about for a long time.
Yes, I mean, clearly as you're constructing a plan where you want to keep the CEO motivated and focused on delivering for the company and for shareholders, you need to delve into what motivates him. And obviously he's been very public about getting additional voting powers so that as he develops the AI products and the AI deliverables and the Optimus robots and the robots to come after that he wants to make sure that evil can't be done with those things. And so having some sort of voting power in order to prevent that bad things happening is a motivator for him. So the special committee obviously took that into account as we were working through what were the right goals to be setting, what was the right balance between the motivation and shareholder value creation, and what were the right milestones to be putting in place in order to actually create the right plan to lift the company and to create the most valuable company in history.
Well, she got that right. Create the most valuable company in history. I mean, these milestones here will ultimately just completely crush some notable mention here: GM, Ferrari, Toyota, JP Morgan, Oracle, Amazon, Broadcom, Meta, Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. That's huge. Those are some big numbers right there. And this is just to keep one man motivated to do his job as CEO. But granted, if he delivers, I mean, this is going to be record-breaking. This is unprecedented. This is going to be our first ever. This is going to be unfreaking real, unbelievable. This is going to see shareholders with very, very big smiles and shit-eating grins on their faces.
And just so we understand the details, these shares are restricted for 5 years, but then they have to be held for 7.5 years. And he's only capturing the upside from where the shares trade as opposed to the way an option would work, correct?
Yes, the way we term this plan, we looked at many different options and alternatives in terms of the types of tools we would use, in terms of the plan itself. And we landed on the best plan possible, which is a performance-based restricted stock award. And so how that works is that it is restricted stock, but he only gets the voting power as he hits the milestones, and then he vests in those for the first 5 tranches, whatever he's achieved in the 5-year period of time. He will vest those at the 7.5-year mark.
There's a sentence which I think some people may focus on, which is the word succession, that you hope over time that you can come up with a succession plan and incent Elon for a succession plan. What does that look like in your mind?
So the board takes our responsibility around succession planning for the CEO, but also for other members of the executive team very, very seriously. And we have a succession plan in place, or a plan for succession if something untoward were to happen to Elon. So that is just good governance from our perspective. But also, when I speak to shareholders regularly, succession planning does come up. And so from our perspective, putting a gate, if you like, to the last 2 tranches of the compensation plan, the 2025 compensation plan, was good governance, but also telling shareholders that we are focused on it, that Elon's focused on it.
Those are some mighty, mighty big shoes to fill. However, she brought up a valid point in this succession plan, and if anything were to happen to Elon, which I kind of got to wonder if there's any fine print in this proposal, which I'm sure would still have to be approved by a judge of some sort to even be paid out if Elon, or when Elon reaches these milestones, these tranches. And if it includes him staying out of politics, staying out of the White House, staying out of Mar-a-Lago, staying out of the American party that he wanted to create. Because I can only imagine how that could have an impact on the amount of security he may need to get by day to day, if you know what I mean.
We're going to have a lot more from that interview still to come over the next 2 hours. It's worth mentioning, though, and it's something that I discussed with Robin. You know, there are lots of CEOs, and I remember talking to Jeff Bezos last year about this. You could reference a Warren Buffett if you like, too. There are a lot of CEOs who have, gotten early shares in their company. They own the stake in their company. They hardly paid themselves anything, and that was it. Right. And the incentive was that their stake in the company would continue to grow, that they didn't need to have additional incentive in this kind of way. Right. And by the way, that's what a critic would say, what does he need to be paid anything for? He has a huge stake in Tesla already, and he should be continue to work because that unto itself should be the incentive. The challenge, and I'm going to be sympathetic to Elon in this case, is...
Now, I want to get back to this challenge here, okay? But I also want to talk about how other people are talking about how dare Elon even, or whomever, anyone even present the idea of paying him this much money, okay? And so Sawyer Merritt, he says, when people look at the size of Tesla's proposed performance-based pay package for Elon Musk, I think some are missing the bigger context. Elon's situation is completely different from that of other MAGA cap tech CEOs like Tim Cook, Mark Zuckerberg, or Sundar Pichai. He isn't running just one company. He runs 6. One is already worth $1 trillion, trillion with a T. Another 400 billion, another 200 billion, and the rest are valued in the tens of billions or billions. So when some argue that a potential $1 trillion pay package is insane compared to the hundreds of millions or billions earned by other CEOs, they're missing the point. Elon doesn't need Tesla to build his wealth. He could focus on SpaceX, XAI, or another of his companies and still generate massive returns. Elon wants money, but not because he's a materialistic individual, but because money is a means to helping him achieve his ambitious goals. Mars. His success at PayPal helped start SpaceX and Tesla. His success at Tesla and SpaceX helped start Neuralink, the Boring Company, and XAI. And his success at these companies will help fund building a city on Mars, etc. The reality is a $100 billion or whatever pay package just wouldn't be a huge needle mover for him. SpaceX is well on its way to becoming a $1 trillion company. XAI likely as well. Tesla needed to create an incredibly ambitious performance-based compensation plan that would both motivate Elon to continue to execute at Tesla for years to come and to align shareholders' interests with his. This new comp plan does exactly that. If Elon doesn't deliver, he doesn't get paid. If he does deliver, he gets paid, and shareholders reap historic benefits. It's a similar setup to the 2018 comp plan. It's a win-win, in my opinion. Unlocking all 12 tranches will be extremely difficult, but if there's one thing you don't do, it's bet against Elon. Marquez. I don't know if Marquez is ever going to shave his head, but we'll see. This is a great comp plan, and the next 10 years at Tesla are going to be extremely exciting.
He has these sort of multiple interests, which we're seeing, right? So he's got SpaceX, and he's got Neuralink, and he's got the Boring. And so the board has sort of a different situation on its hands, which is, and I asked her directly, was there ever a moment at which they thought that he would leave? And I would tease you a little bit to stick with us throughout the broadcast, because I think you're going to want to hear her answer. But part of what the issue here is, they're trying to figure out a way to how do you make sure this guy is focused squarely on Tesla, and they're trying to do it in a almost incentive way as opposed to some kind of contractual way or something else. There's also one other piece.
It feels contractual. You're not going to get paid these big payouts unless you stick around.
This is, as we said, this is as pay for performance, in my mind, as it comes. Having said that, obviously, a judge didn't like the way this was set up back in 2018. The law in Delaware has since changed. Texas, obviously, I think would be more favorable towards this anyway.
I'm not sympathetic to the judge in Delaware. I think shareholders have spoken pretty clearly that they want Elon around. They want him paid in this manner. And I think the Delaware court has done a disservice to those shareholders. However, what you just brought up is making me think about something, and I'm kind of thinking this through as you're saying it. I mean, what if Jeff Bezos had gone off and started Amazon Web Services as a separate company and not built that into Amazon?
Well,
what if, you think about what if Warren Buffett had taken every major acquisition he purchased and turned it into a separate company? Which is it's a different thing to try and keep the attention of someone who's basically like ADD, who goes off and does different things. And everything Elon does, I'm a fan of all these businesses that he's built. I think the stuff that he's done is beyond unbelievable.
That's a nice segue to the other piece of breaking news this morning, which is that if you look in the proxy.
And I want to talk about some of this other breaking news. For instance, Porsche owners can now access the Tesla Supercharger network. As of today, Audi and Porsche EVs can now access the Tesla Supercharger network. This means these EV owners will have access to 23,500 Tesla Superchargers in North America. Access to the Tesla Supercharger network will be possible through Porsche-supplied NACS DC adapters being made available to Porsche customers. Talk about incentives, right? Okay. We're not just talking about incentivizing Elon Musk. We're talking about incentivizing sales, driving sales across the board for all manufacturers. Like, they should be lining up to suck Elon's dick. Oh, but wait, there's more. Tesla has announced that they are now selling superchargers, fully managed by Tesla. Quote, purchase and install superchargers at your business. Superchargers are compatible with all electric vehicles. Bring EV drivers to your business by offering convenient, reliable charging. We treat your site like we treat our sites by providing you with a full service package that includes network operations, preventative maintenance, and driver support. And we're able to guarantee 97% uptime, the highest in the industry. Elon is changing the game, okay? He's changing the game internally inside of Tesla. He's changing the game externally with other manufacturers being able to charge. He's changing the game with businesses driving more customers and revenue and profit potentially by offering fully serviced superchargers. In addition to, he's incentivizing purchases even without tax credits of being able to turn your Tesla into a passive income revenue source, which only makes it that much more appealing when you can charge it anywhere and everywhere, 23,500 locations and counting, as these businesses begin to introduce more charging stations fully managed and serviced by Tesla. This is unbelievable. I don't even know if you guys are really understanding just how big this really is and how much of a get. The next step here would potentially be some form of monopoly that perhaps maybe Rivian or Lucid would probably try to introduce as a challenge to Tesla. I would imagine Rivian or Lucid would be the first one to try to pull that off because of the overall ecosystem that is being built here that is going to be next to impossible to challenge, for which most of these other manufacturers don't even want to challenge. They want to work with Elon. They want to work with Tesla. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the charging infrastructure to even drive whatever minuscule sales of EV products that they're trying to push. And don't get me started on Dodge and that Challenger or Charger. I don't even know what they're calling it anymore. They can't even sell those things. They can't give them away. And so if you add in the fact that people can actually charge through Tesla superchargers with 97% uptime across the country and growing, well, we got a whole nother conversation we got to have here, folks.
There is a shareholder proposal this morning that has been included in the proxy this year, so shareholders will actually vote on it, effectively for Tesla to take an investment stake in XAI. So this goes to the question that you just asked about his various interests and also his various ability to get compensated for this. So XAI, which of course also now owns X, those two were merged. Effectively, shareholders are going to be asked whether the board of Tesla should invest money in XAI. XAI, by the way, is now inside of and Grok is being used not just there, inside the cars. So Tesla is already using some of these services.
I mean, that's the only thing that's a little weird is the way these things have been spun off and done differently. Like, I don't know that Tesla shareholders would have wanted to have been involved in X or Twitter when he bought it. I think there were a lot of questions from Tesla shareholders when he brought that solar-powered company into Tesla without their approval on doing some of those things. But the biggest Tesla shareholders say they're there because of Elon Musk. He's the key man.
And interestingly, a lot of them believe that this ecosystem he's created actually benefits them. Yeah. And that's the interesting part. And I would recommend people read through this proxy because there's a whole sort of set of issues around this. But importantly, the fact that the shareholder base is being asked whether the board should contemplate an investment in XAI. If they say yes, then it gives... So if they hadn't said yes, or if they hadn't brought this to the shareholders, if the board had decided, we're going to take an investment in XAI, that would create a conflict.
Right, I think it's the right way to ask.
But if they say yes, I think there's a decent chance that you will see, I don't know, a full-on merger, but it would not be shocking if Tesla took a big stake in XAI. And then
Which is how you would get to some of these milestones, because how do you get to $8.5 trillion?
Potentially. Yeah. That would also help. So we'll see. But a lot of news this morning.
Well, wait a second. When you put it that way, it's kind of getting back to what he had originally said, that I would not want to be working on AI issues unless I had, let's say, a 25% stake or something in control in the company because of the concerns he would have about what could be done with that AI.
Which therefore would then give him ostensibly the incentive to do all of this.
So the numbers seem crazy, but if you talk about doing something like that, the numbers don't seem so crazy. If you can blend them back in and put them back together.
Look, reaching any of these milestones, I think, is going to be, I mean, these milestones make 2018 look like child's play.
They do.
And we thought that 2018, as Robin said, was crazy. These still seem somewhat crazy. But
if you
we'll
start,
see
if
where
you're
it goes.
really a tech company and then an AI company, it seems less crazy to get to some of these valuations. However, it is shareholder friendly.
Right.
You know, he's not making money unless the shareholders make it, and then he still can't cash out for a long time. That's a lot to think about.
Well, we're going to think a lot more about it, and we're going to bring you a lot more of that interview with the chair of Tesla, responsible for this new pay package that could be worth more than $1 trillion, and that's with the T.
Yeah, talk about crazy. That's where I leave it, folks. Because it is closing time here, and forgive me, I do have noise cancellation on, but there's a very active vacuum cleaner going on in very close proximity here. So I'm going to have to wrap this up. But I do want to share this with you guys. And this is a post from a mentor of mine, a virtual e-mentor. I haven't actually had a chance to meet him yet, but that's going to be in the list of things to do here soon as I raise my feet to second. And Alex Hormozy, I love Alex Hormozy and his quotes. They seem to pop up just in the nick of time at the right time. And he says, it's unlikely that you'll be both wildly successful and well understood. You trade one for the other. Let that sink in, folks. I'll see you on the next one.